I'm Tara Bradner, and this is Hopeful Hints, an infertility podcast where you will receive quick, hopeful hints to guide you through infertility. Here, you will find education, inspiration, and most importantly, find peace as you walk through this journey to fulfill your family vision. Welcome to Hopeful Hints, the podcast where you can find short weekly tips for getting you through infertility. We are so excited to have a guest this week, Emily Ginn. Welcome to our show. She is a fertility coach. Can you tell us what brought you to the infertility community?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here. Yes, so we have a very, very long history in infertility, funsies. We started our infertility journey. You know, it's so funny when you look back retrospectively, you always say, I started my infertility journey. You have no dang clue that that's what you're on until you're on it. But we started in the spring/summer of 2012. So we're now 9 years in. It had to be the first 2 years the worst moments of my life, like the darkest moments, the least the most hopeless. It was a horrible time. And so throughout the course of our journey, we identified that we're both male and female factor infertility, because we are just, we're a go big or go home couple, and we never go home. So we don't do anything halfway. And then our first son, we conceived, our only spontaneous conception. We conceived him in winter of 2013. He was born in August 2014. When we started family planning again, we knew we were probably going to have to do some stuff. So we had 4 failed IUIs. And then we went into our first IVF cycle, and our second son was born in 2017. We did a transfer in just last September, so September of 2020. And just because 2020 was 2020, that transfer failed. And so now we're actually in our very last, the hubs and I were like, no, this is literally the fire sale of IVF cycles. We're done. So we're gearing up for our next transfer.
Actively gearing up for that, is that correct?
Yeah, so in 1 week from today will be the transfer.
Oh, Emily.
Yeah.
You guys, she gets this. Like, this is somebody who has been there, and you just shared the top level of your journey.
Right.
So, and
right.
If you're listening, you are in the middle of infertility, more than likely. And so I feel like when I listen to people's stories, I'm like, oh, I just can feel the emotions and like the ups and downs with you. And so knowing that you're still in the middle of it is I feel like my own emotions stemming from when I went through it too. But I'm not I feel emotion. That's my thing.
No, there is a camaraderie, a sisterhood, an alliance that is formed between us. Infertility is just such a big umbrella statement. It really does not encompass the individuality of each person's journey, right? So I know a little bit about your journey from what you've shared on social media, but my journey included 4 surgeries. I had 1 ovary removed, right? It doesn't encompass the kind of the unspoken parts of our journey, which is the nights that we're crying in the fetal position in our closet, and just wishing that anything would change to ease the pain. Absolutely. So I do think that there is this guttural soul level alliance that's formed between us.
Absolutely. And we're going to share more at the end about what exactly Emily does, but I think we'll get a better picture as we move into our 3 hopeful hints, and this will all make sense. So let's dive in, Emily. Hopeful hint number 1.
Hopeful hint number 1 is notice how you talk to yourself.
So good.
Right? So here's the thing. I tell my people, infertility is by and large a very temporary moment in your life, right? It doesn't feel that way, certainly. but it is pretty time specific. There's going to be a point where you either don't want to pursue this anymore or you have the family. Like it's very time specific. How you talk to yourself will go with you on any journey. So if you are mean to yourself, like if you have that internal voice that's shrill and rude and, you know, swearing at you, all of these terrible things that I think most of us have, you're going to carry that with you through every phase of your life. It's not specific to infertility. All that happens in infertility is like a giant spotlight has been shown on how you talk to yourself, which is why you're so miserable during this time. And so one of my favorite things that actually ties into helpful hint number 2 is to notice how you're talking to yourself. Journaling, which is helpful hint number 2, is my favorite thing. So it can be free form, which is literally you just sit down with a pen and paper and you just write whatever thoughts come to you. And I always classify thoughts as a sentence in your brain, right? It can be as hard to write as I hate myself, I hate my life, or as non sequitur as like, I think I left the curling iron on this morning, right? It doesn't matter. It's just getting the thoughts out of your head. So by rough estimates, we have 50 to 60,000 thoughts per day. It's a lot. It's a lot.
That's a lot.
But we're only aware of about 10%, 5 to 10%. Okay, it's still a lot of thoughts. But of the ones that we're aware of, 85% of our thoughts are negative in nature, right? It's called the negativity bias. It's just how our brain has evolved to keep us safe. So that's why our thoughts feel so heavy, so important, so negative, so urgent, is because it's part of our evolution. So if you can get your thoughts out of your brain, you're actually going to create more space from your thoughts, and it just opens up more space. Is just my favorite word. It just opens up more space in your brain, in your heart, and from everything that